Hey, what's going on YouTube? I am back with another story time, and if you do enjoy these story times, please like, subscribe, ring that bell. Any case, this is one of the highest times I've ever been as I got zooted in this Hotbox. It was one of the last days of spring break of my little spring break bender I had with a buddy in high school. One of the last times I saw him. It was like the second to last day I was gonna be there. So we basically ended up having this like hot box sort of party in his garage that night. He had a bunch of his buddies over, and you know, it was pretty much just, you know, they had some Xanax bars and whatnot, but that night I didn't have anything but booze and weed. And even then with the booze, I had like maybe 2 shots, you know, of Captain Morgan, and then that was, you know, I had been drinking at that point, you know, partying and whatnot, to where like it didn't really, I mean, it was a comfortable kind of, you know, tipsiness, but it wasn't like that was something that was gonna get me 2 shots wasn't gonna get me blasted or anything. But we start, you know, rolling, like smoking some weed, you know, hitting out his bong, and he had this nice what was it? It was like a classic style looking bong, you know, the but it was like had little like playing card designs on it. So I was like, you know, I just admiring that. So I took a nice couple hits out of that, and we were chilling, and it seemed relaxing, standard high. But then people started rolling blunts. And then people kept rolling blunts, and it ended up being that we ended up in this rotation with like, I think it was like 5 blunts just going in a circle, and it was like there weren't that many people there. It was probably a total of 10, maybe 15 max. So it was like basically we were on this constant rotation of blunts. You know, we basically were just literally, I mean, you were done with one hit, that next hit was just around the corner. And, you know, especially at that time, I wasn't gonna say no to another hit of weed. Thing is, I hadn't really been using any type of nicotine much. You know, I didn't really smoke many blunts that at that time, and nicotine and weed for me in high school hit different. It hit a lot different. It just that head high was hit so much harder, and I just kind of kept going with it, you know. And at first it seemed relatively okay, but then, you know, after like, you know, the 10th 15 hit out of the different blunts and whatnot, got to say, this weed was something different. This was actually a fresh batch. So my buddy had a relative, sort of an in-law as it were. His cousin's husband was a grower basically, and he had just bought this fresh batch, 2 quarter pounds, I think. I don't remember if they're quarter or half pound. They seem pretty big. I don't remember the exact weights, but it was this purple Urkel and Mooney Goo Goo is what they called it. I have yet to see Mooney Goo Goo ever again, but that shit hit different. Let me tell you. The purple Urkel was nice, smooth, it was really good, but that Mooney Goo Goo, there was something different about it. It felt so, it was already kind of a head high type of weed, and then you throw that nicotine in with it, and it was like, I don't know, it hit different, to where I'm like, I have been keeping an eye out for this purported strain for a while. I don't know, if you can point out to a place that has that type of strain, please, because that shit, oh my god. Basically, you know, after hitting it so many times, I literally started to, I mean, it was pretty sort of psychedelic head high. I was getting that depth perception issue, and it being a hot box, combining that nicotine with the weed, the smoke was filling up. I mean, when you're talking a garage with like 6 different blunts going at the same time, and these weren't small blunts, by the way, these were eighths. These weren't like 1.5, 2 gram blunts. These were full 1/8 blunts. These were proper balancing. to me, a blunt is 2 grams minimum, 2 to 3.5. That's what I grew up on with blunts, and these were full 3.5 gram blunts. And the smoke was thick in that garage. Let me tell you, it got pretty heavy. It was just a haze across this room. Like it was coating. It made it that much harder to breathe. So even as I'm trying to breathe, trying to deal with this head high coming in, starting to get a little overwhelming with my depth perception getting kind of messed up, and like my motor functions weren't that affected. I just felt like a little bit more like relaxed laying in the chair, but my depth perception and just like visually, like I was starting to get seeing spots and whatnot, and it was all of a sudden my chest felt a little tight and I was trying to breathe. But the thing is, in this Hotbox, since it was straight up everything was smoke, all I was doing was breathing in more weed, more nicotine. So like me trying to breathe to calm myself down actually made it worse. So I just kept getting higher and higher and higher sitting there, and then I started to get those like kind of spins, kind of nausea, and that was just like I was literally sitting there just trying to breathe when we were done with those blunts, like come on. But like the terrible idea being in a hot box, because you're just breathing in that smoke over and over. So I'm just sitting there, you know, I'm just getting that weird, like things are getting blurrier for no, you know, things like just things are getting weirdly blurrier, things are feeling a little distant. I'm getting kind of a green screen effect with people where like, and that was actually one of the first, you know, things I experienced with weed is that green screen effect. Like seeing, just like when I would look at somebody, it just looks like they were in front of a green screen. My depth perception would just go all sorts of wonky, and this was no exception. It was kind of all over the place. Like whatever it was focused on, whatever was behind it, just looked like a green screen. And personally, I love that effect. I love that psychedelic effect. It makes for some really great entertainment, but this was a little uncomfortable with that nausea and the kind of the slight head spin going on. And I got to a point where I literally couldn't breathe. Like it would just, and I literally just randomly, like everybody's chit chatting, having a good time, and I just get up and I just storm out, and I'm just like breathing, you know, outside the garage, and I'm just. And my buddy comes out, I was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like trying to stare out in the hills in the distance, just trying to like collect myself. And then his mom comes out, and you know, I haven't had much stories about, you know, as far as parents or whatnot, but you know, probably understand in future story times when I say it, I was ultra paranoid about parents knowing that I smoked weed. But this guy's mom was pretty chill about it, and they basically, you know, they said like, look, he smoked a little too much weed, he just needs a breather. And she was like, you know, she was more accommodating and just like, okay, let's just, you know, breathe it out. I'll get you a drink. Let me get you a snack. And I basically just had to like sit outside for like 45 minutes, just breathing it out. And just getting that out of my system, because it was a full blown just head high trip that was hitting me, and it was so hard to breathe in there at a point that I needed that air, and I was sweating it. I was getting some serious like THC sweats, you know, like when you're first taking that first dab you've ever had and you get those THC sweats. I was getting that for sure. And I just had to sit outside with that fresh air, and you know, within an hour I was fine again. But it definitely had me a little bit more tepid on taking another hit of that Moon and Goo for sure. I enjoyed it, I loved it, but that got a little overwhelming, making it hard when it was really hard to breathe. You know, breathing is pretty important, so when it gets hard to breathe, it kind of creates a little bit of a freak out moment. So yeah, that was a particular time. That was probably one of the highest moments I've been, when I was pretty much at a 10 out of 10 when it came to weed. So Yeah, that's the time I got completely zooted in a Hotbox. In any case, if you do enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, ring that bell. You have a great rest of your day.